Kids have fire drills at school, you want to make sure they know evacuation plan. So you draw it out and they have a meeting place. So let's say there's a fire, some apartments have 2 staircases. So you can't go down this one, you go down the other one. Or you have a fire escape. Or if you live in a private house, you can exit through the garage or the back door. You should always have 2 ways of exiting your home. But every home is different, so you have to talk about this as a family. Make sure you come up with an evacuation plan. Once you get out, make sure don't go back inside. Call 911, don't go back inside. Make sure you have a meeting place. So it might be down the block, it might be at the telephone pole. We'll all meet there. And if anyone's missing, now you can let us know. This is our meeting place. My nephew's missing. My daughter's missing. We'll be around.
萬一有咩發生嘅，好似火燭啊，或唔知咩咧，但係你需要出門口咧，你需要知道你個屋企同埋個層樓有2個方法可以出去嘅，最緊要2個出口，因為你如果有一個出口唔俾得你出去咧，你知道你自己可以去第2個出口安全。你有小朋友同你一齊啊，有孫仔女啊，有咩發生咧？有時會好亂七八糟噶嘛。你同佢講 ，OK， 你喺個棵樹喺隔離等，如果出到去嘅，你喺嗰度等住我。你需要同佢揾個方法點可以約到同埋黐埋一齊出到去嗰時，萬一係有咩發生危險嘅。所以佢知道佢唔會亂七八糟走嚟走去，佢知道 OK， 婆婆同我講呢棵樹喺度等我喺度揾你。
So for those of you who live in apartment buildings, right, the fire department we classify it 2 types. There's 2 types of buildings, which is non-fireproof and fireproof. Very important that you know which type you live in. Like the general rule of thumb is non-fireproof generally have the fire escapes, whereas fireproof don't. But if you do live in a fireproof building, so you want to make sure that if there is a fire within your building, unless it's in your apartment, you stay put. Whereas in a non-fireproof, if there's a fire anywhere in the building, you have to evacuate.
唐街嗰啲全部啲屋咧係好舊嘅，數嗰啲咧如果係有火燭嘅咧，佢哋會全部同你講出門口啊，安全啲出去，小心啲。但係如果咧係喺嗰啲新嗰啲大廈住嘅咧，好多係係叫 fireproof， 嗰啲咧就叫你留住喺屋企，留住嗰間房唔好出嚟，因為個屋企個4方形嗰度咧係會保護你可以去到3個鐘嘅。所以咧喺嗰啲新嗰啲大廈咧，佢就叫你留住喺入面唔好出去。舊呢啲唐街嗰啲咧好多係舊啲噶嘛，嗰啲你就要安全啲出去，揾2個方法。
This is something you could discuss with your fire safety supervisor in your building or your super. They'll know. Ask them, if there's a fire in my apartment, what do I do? If there's a fire in the building, what do I do?
全部嗰啲屋主你可以問佢，萬一有火燭，我哋需要做啲咩，可以點出門口啊，安全啲或有咩，佢會同你講你係邊種屋企嚟嘅。
Again, it's important to have a plan. So. Lost my train of thought. Sorry. Okay. Okay. I guess we'll continue on to evacuation now.
唔好意思啊，我哋唔記得傾過咩？老人啊，我哋老人先為證。
I know, I just sat down and put me on. Okay, so I guess we'll take questions.
有冇人有咩問題啊？想問下啲嘢啊？唔清楚啲，我哋講過嗰啲嘢。
佢個 Red Cross 咧就免費同我哋安裝係咪啊？
係政府個 Red Cross 咧個電話號碼咧，你可以 call 個 number 跟住你可以同佢約嘅時間。
即係我哋要自己買咗
唔需要，你唔需要買嘅，政府會寄1、2個人過嚟，佢會幫你睇，哦，你屋企要幾多個，3個啊、4個啊，跟住佢會整個appointment 約時間，我哋會過嚟幫你裝上去。係，就你如果你係需要嘅咧，你唔知你屋企合唔合格咧，你 call 個 number， 跟住佢會約時間同你，佢會過嚟你屋企，跟住佢會幫你檢查下需要幾多個喺每間房，跟住佢會自動幫你裝上去。
That's what I was going to say, evacuation. Oh, so when you are, if there is a fire in your home, you want to make sure, or smoke rises, so you want to make sure you're low. Right? Smoke is smoke. You want to crawl under the smoke. Before you go to a door, you want to make sure you feel the door. Right? The door is hot. There's a chance there's fire behind it, which is why we have 2 ways of exiting. Right? So if the door is hot, you gotta go to another door. Oh, there's fire. Right? You go to the other door. When you do leave through a door, you want to make sure you close it behind you. It's very important to close the door behind you.
好緊要個方法係出門口嗰陣時咧，你要記得要閂個門，最緊要係要閂個門。你出咗你個屋企嗰陣時要閂門，因為你唔閂門咧，而家如果火燭喺你屋企咧，有可能成層樓而家都可以火燭。你閂個門咧，個火燭會難啲去繼續大啲嘅。最緊要係如果係火燭，要閂你屋企個門。
So talk a little bit about fire extinguishers now. For those of you who have it, right, you want to make sure you keep it in the sense that there's a fire in your home. You want to be able to use it so you can back out and evacuate.
呢個係個滅火筒，紅色嗰個係有 A、B、C 係最
Alright, so right, you're not using the fire extinguisher to put out the fire. You want to make sure you're using it so you can, if you're back toward the door, you can put out keep it going, spray the extinguisher, and you can leave. Right, it's our job to put out the fire. Right, so when you purchase, if you are going to have an extinguisher in your home, you want to make sure it has an ABC on it in triangles, which covers all household products. For those of you who don't know how to use it, there's an acronym called PASS. Right, so the first step is P, where you pull the pin. A is to aim. Right, S is to squeeze the handle. The other S is side by side, right? Side by sweeping motions. Right, you want to make sure you have at least a distance of 5 to 10 feet away from the flame you're putting out. Right, if you're putting out a pan fire, you don't want to be right in the pan. Things spray back on you, so you want to make sure you have your back toward the door, ready to exit, and you spray it. It's just to help you. Best if you use it. Just make sure you remember to call 911.
個滅火筒係紅色呢個 ABC 咧係每間屋應該有一個嘅，係萬一你有紙巾啊、電器啊、油漬啊，呢個又可以幫你安全用嚟可以出門口係第二個方法去保護你嘅。我哋唔係叫你用嚟熄個火，但係如果你係要出門口，你係需要走嘅，你走唔到啦，就可以用呢個保護你自己去到出門口就可以出去。
Yeah, we'll take questions. Anyone have questions?
Ben, did you talk about lithium-ion batteries?
Oh, we didn't talk about anyone else, no. So in recent trends, right, there was a fire, recent trends lately, there have been a lot of fires with lithium-ion batteries. So for those of you who have like the scooters, plug it in overnight, it's something you want to make sure you don't want to overcharge the batteries. So if you do use any lithium-ion products, you want to make sure you don't overcharge overnights.
Well, the key thing with lithium-ion batteries, to what Ben is saying, is the fact that it's basically these devices, scooters, cell phones, computers, tablets, anything that has these types of batteries are basically right now causing a high trend of fire. Why? Because what Ben's saying is overcharging, the device is not being tested or UL approved, as he talked about with electrical power strips or electrical devices. You want to translate this?
Okay, so 我哋而家知道好多時咧，呢啲火燭呢排係嗰啲單車啊、手提電話啊、嗰啲部機有冇嗰啲電池咧係好強嘅， 好多時呢啲單車火燭係因為人哋叉電，佢夜晚黑佢叉到佢朝頭早個電池咧係唔需要叉得咁耐，佢叉得太耐咧會太熱，因為佢一火燭咧呢啲電池咧會好強好快嘅。So 如果你係識啲人啊，有呢啲送外賣嗰啲單車咧，或你自己嗰啲單車或電池，你唔好叫佢夜晚黑叉住，有時間就叉一陣咁就唔好再叉嗰啲。你叉得太耐咧，會有可能會着火嘅，因為有好多時呢啲單車啊，呢啲公司咧，佢唔係合格嘅個 UL， 佢冇去過政府去合格，佢就係賣俾你，俾大陸啊、香港啊嗰啲咁嘅咧，佢唔係美國 approve 嘅。
Again, it's more about monitoring the device. If you see that your charging cable has a rip or is frayed, don't use it. If you smell that the device is setting off a bad odor in terms of the battery, discharge of it or dispose of it immediately. In terms of disposing lithium-ion batteries or items that do, just go to 311 or check with sanitation because they have proper methods of disposing. But the key thing is that it's all about evaluation, knowing what type of device that it's UL approved, and specifically like for the scooters and those high-powered devices, we tend to say not to charge it indoor if possible, but again, charge it outdoor if need be, because again, the fact that you're charging it overnight or charging any device that has a lithium-ion battery overnight without monitoring can potentially cause a deadly situation.
如果呢啲電池你見到有啲油漬出嚟啊，或有陣味唔妥嘅咧，你唔好理，你需要 call 911或311同佢講，我有呢個電池啊，有可能會着火，我唔知點做。咁佢如果你係 call 311嘅咧，你可以解釋俾佢聽，佢會同你講點可以掉咗個電池，因為你唔得就話擺喺垃圾桶。如果係咁，有好多時會火燭喎，唔知點啊，人哋會危險。
The best example is when if you plug your phone in for too long, you know how it heats up? It gets hot like that. You want to monitor it. You start smelling it, you shouldn't be charging anything for that long.
如果你叉緊電話嗰陣時咧，佢太熱咧，你唔好再叉啦，因為就係咁啦。如果個電池太熱，你猛咁叉咧，佢遲早個電池唔會 hold 住嘅個電，跟住佢有可能會着火。So 如果你係知道你叉緊電啊 ，for 你單車啊、電話啊，有咩需要叉電嘅咧？如果太熱咧，你就唔好由得佢叉，你由得佢暖翻，跟住先再叉過。
The one other thing I also just wanted to say on closing doors. Again, Ben highlighted in terms of just the importance of closing a door when escaping a fire. A lot of serious fires that we have seen throughout the years have resulted not only because of the initial cause inside, but have basically extended in terms of toxic fumes coming out of the apartment due to the fact of closed doors not occurring or not happening. By New York City Fire Code in a multiple dwelling, if your apartment has 3 or more units, the building itself has to have self-closing door features for your apartments. That self-closing door, we do encourage you to check periodically, test it, make sure that the door closes upon exit. The reason being, you might have a carpet that holds the door from closing, you might have changed flooring that maybe closes or stops the door from closing, or the self-closing hinge might not be working. What we stress to you is that if you do live in a multiple dwelling, that does require any building that has 3 or more apartments and requires self-closing doors, that you periodically check that as part of your overall fire safety checklist or fire safety planning monthly.
如果你住喺啲大廈屋企嗰度咧，有多過3個家庭每一層樓嘅咧，佢哋啲門係應該自動閂嘅。你唔好擺啲嘢喺嗰度，整到個門冇自動閂啊嗰啲咁嘅，因為萬一係火燭咧，自動閂嗰啲門係保護你同埋保護其啲家庭嘅。萬一係個火燭，如果你唔係咁清楚，或你唔知你個門係自動閂嘅，你可以問你個屋主或個 super， 跟住問佢或叫佢保翻好個門。
Along with your monthly test, make sure you're always testing right around. So just like I did earlier, you just press it, run through the and you know it works, right? Every month.
所以呢部機咧，你可以撳佢一次，每個月佢會整好多聲，但係佢會 reset 一次，因為你每一個月咧，你想知道佢係合格仲有電嘅，所以如果你撳佢一次咧，佢會整多幾個聲，但係好似唔夠2分鐘咧，佢就唔會再出聲㗎啦，就每個月一次。中間。就佢會整多一次，因為個聲佢整咧，就知道你每一個月咧，你撳佢一次就知道仲有電。
So first one smoke 3 times, right? 3.
3更半夜響起嚟點
3個就係煙。
3更半夜響㗎。
呢個係煙。
That was carbon monoxide. Next one, carbon monoxide.
呢個係一氧化碳。
冇煙啊，3更半夜響㗎。
你夜晚黑嗰時有聲出嚟，係咪好似係咁？
要瞓得好熟，佢一味響一味響。
但唔係咁狼嘅，係啲一下。
嘈醒晒你。
你係咪舊個款咧？
唔知啊，政府樓嗰度安置。3更半夜響，成日嘈。有
冇3聲、4聲，或係1聲？
有，但係佢嘈至你唔瞓得，叫佢嚟整，佢拎咗手嘅，又冇一個啊。第二次3更半夜響起嚟，又一個又掟手嘅。係
咪？但係佢整個聲嗰時係咪好1個聲啦、3個聲定4個聲啦？
不停響，嘈至你瞓覺。
我諗佢冇電啊。
如果你係咁咧，你個應該係冇電。但係如果佢係換嘅新嘅咧，咁我就唔知。
政府樓嗰度派人換咗啦，3更半夜又響啦，嘈至喺周圍都。
咁你需要，如果係晚咁。
即係你電腦好
着咧，你需要開政府樓嗰個屋主嚟過嚟最換貨。
call 佢718777727 call 佢嚟咗啊，拎咗手啊，第二次又第二個又響。你收反拎咗手啦，掟咗佢啦。
What's the question?
Hers at night chirps. She's in housing department. Housing department changed it, but it still chirps.
So I would still report it because technically the chirping means that it's a defective alarm. Technically, the only time it's supposed to chirp is when the activation that you tested it and then it goes back to silent. Anything that's sounding like that, just a chirp, that means that the battery of the device is defective.
So 我知你話你 call 佢幾次到換佢幾次，但係如果冇屋企你聞唔到gas 嗰啲咁咧，你要 call 佢再換，因為有可能佢俾你
call 咗幾次佢都掉咗，佢停喺個底喺度。係
咪俾新嘅？
冇啊！
佢要俾你新嘅，
佢掉喺個膠鼻處。
你要同佢講要新嗰個。
要講。
佢要幫佢換嘅。
而家我哋冇成3個低。
你係要 call housing department 政府樓幫佢裝，最 call 佢最裝個新嘅。
佢嚟到啊，拎一掉啊，停翻個底，掉咗嗰個上邊嗰個。明白，
但係你而家同我講，我唔知嘅。我哋個方法同講咧就係需要 call 政府樓個屋主啦，number 佢幫佢換新嘅。
嚟啊，佢係掉咗個膠鼻處。
You got to report to them. Okay. Any other questions?